Well, hello, love. Welcome to this storytelling of my residential journey. I'm so excited to share it with you and also going to try to be as concise as possible. So, I'm just going to jump right into it. I did the math and I actually moved out at 20. So, it's been like 8 years of my residential journey. Residential experience, and it's been a wild ride. So the story begins with 19-year-old Demetrius being very fed up with his mother and his living situation. And my best friend at the time, Brittany, who I'll just refer to as Brit, her and I were just like very close at that time. We were hanging out like very frequently, like multiple times in the week type thing. And anytime that like she would come to me and like, come to my house, we would like watch a movie type thing. She would usually always spend the night. So we both kind of like started to express like interest in moving out, because we just like wanted to be able to do our own thing, be an adult type thing. We of course didn't have the money, so I think I had asked my mom. We did start, I believe, working together at this point though. We were doing like Instacart together, which is like grocery delivery. And just the way that it worked, to give some context, like the way that they were paying the shoppers at the time, it was like it made more sense to do two people on one account and kind of be like jointly doing the job so that we can make more money rather than one person doing it or each person doing it themselves. Just because it was better with like efficiency and like, someone like driving while the other delivers type thing and not having to worry about parking situations, blah blah blah. So at that time I remember asking my mom if she could like stay with us for a little while her and I saved up to move out together. And it wasn't that far-fetched to ask my mom, because my mom is the kind of person that will open her home. She's always been that way, actually. Growing up, she has opened her home to family, friends, people out in the neighborhood. Like, she's just that person. So I feel like it really hurt me that she was like not allowing me to not be that person, especially with someone that I considered damn near a sister at this point in time. So it very much just kind of like gave me the drive that I needed to leave. So I did leave at 19 to go stay with Brittany and her mom in the suburbs. And I don't remember how long that was, but I know at that point, I think it may have been actually the day of my birthday. I remember being sick around my birthday, my 20th birthday. And I also started dating at that time. My first boyfriend, my first serious, like, official boyfriend. And he was a Virgo, a fellow Virgo, in August, Virgo. Same birthday as my cousin, both the 28th of August. Anyways, and it was very much like, I remember being sick and like she was out working, he was obviously at home. And I just like had this like download, if you will, of like, okay, like it was very much like, are you trying to move out? You're trying to move out? And I was like, okay, handled. And then I called them back like, we're moving out. And I like fully found an apartment in this high rise in Hyde Park in Chicago. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I called and asked what the requirements were, like how we could apply, like how much money we needed type thing. And we like just had enough to like get the apartment. I think, I don't know, it was like a little bit of a process to get the unit, but like I literally got that shit done and figured out for the three of us. And it was very much like, all right, like the show was on the road. The show was on the motherfucking road. And so I was like, first time I had just turned 20 years old. We moved out October 1st. I remember we moved in, I'm sorry, October 1st. I was coming from Blue Island with her, and like we got a U-Haul, picked up all his shit, stopped, picked up my shit, stopped, picked up her shit, and like I don't know how I did that at 20 years old. Like I just like knew what the fuck to do, even though nobody ever taught me jack shit. But Demetrius at that time, like to give more context, like when I graduated high school, nobody told me to go to college, nobody told me to get a job, nobody told me to move out, nobody told me a goddamn thing. It very much was just like Demetrius and his drive and his passion and fire to like get what he wanted, and live my best of both worlds, like being able to live with my partner and my best friend at the time. But so long story short, we ended up having to leave and break the lease early. Oh, goodness gracious. That's gonna let me know if you want to know that story, because it kind of it started with my car being stolen and wrecked, and at the time we were all doing delivery services and we all had our own car, which two of the cars were in my name. So yeah, I think two of the cars were in my name, and then I co-signed a car for Brit to get a car. So like I was just, whatever credit that I did build for myself, I was just using that motherfucker. Like I was dropping every, like, you get a car, you get a car. Like it was craziness. So it started with that, and that was kind of like the beginning of the end. And then fast forward, we move out, we break our lease, we move back to Eastside in our own apartment. But it ended up actually just being he and I, because like the family dynamics of the three of us weren't, it wasn't all peaches and roses like I guess we thought that it was gonna be. And that is kind of on my part. I feel like I became a monster. That was like the worst version of Demetrius there's ever been. Because I had just like left my family, and like I was like harboring a lot of issues, a lot of resentment and issues with them, just from like childhood and like just that point in time also. And like I don't think I was even talking to my family at that time. So my mom especially, and younger Demetrius kind of always grouped my sister in with my mom. But that's, we're nor here nor there. The point being that like we moved to a new apartment in Eastside. It was just he and I. Me and Brittany actually fell out because of that whole living situation. And then he and I only lasted up until maybe June of that same year. So this is still like, I think 2017. Yeah, 2017. I'm still 20 years old. He moves out and leaves me kind of by myself there. I called Brittany quick, like, girl, like, can we fix our shit? Like, I love you, I'm sorry, I miss you, like, I need you. And we like reconnected, and then it kind of felt like, again, like she was like always at the house, like type thing, and like we were always together. We were like really, really close, y'all. Like, so I think she moved in for a time, but not too long. I think something happened again with us, where like she moved back out. She didn't stay long when she did. And then my sister and my cousin both ended up staying around the same time as well. Like my both of them had like a falling out with each of their mothers, and was like, Demetrius, Meech, can we like, can I crash with you? And I was like, yes, of course. Like I know the feeling, baby girl. Like you are more than welcome in this home. But then my sister started dating someone else and started living with him and his family. And then my cousin like had like a health scare, so she like kind of had to go back home. And then I was like empty nest again. And then I met my next partner, my Scorpio. I was gonna say my Scorpio king, but he was my Scorpio boy. I feel like he was such a child at that time. Hopefully, I'm sure he's healed now. Anyways, and he and I were together for 4.5 years. So a lot happened with that story, or that relationship as well. I'm gonna try to just stick to the residential side, where he essentially moved into that place with me. I believe sometime in the spring of 2018 it had to have been. Yeah, and then by time May rolled around, like his stepfather was like renovating. He like bought a building and was like renovating it to like, it was gonna be like a 4-unit building, and we were gonna stay in like the attic. And like he said that it was gonna be ready by June in that year, and my lease was up in May. So I was like, oh, we should just like, take him up on that offer, and it was gonna be significantly less in rent. Also on the southwest side in Gage Park. So it was like, yay. Like I ended my lease, and then I followed him to his parents' house actually, and we stayed in the basement. That was the plan, because like he was like, oh, like it's just gonna be a couple more weeks. It actually ended up being a whole fucking year until we got into that place. So in that amount of time, and this is again 2018, so I started college at UIC. I started my 4-year, or my 4-year university journey. Even though like I did community college before then as well. So like I was starting at like junior status. I started school at UIC there. His stepfather also he's a very higher up in Home Depot, so he was able to give me a job there. I had quite a few jobs at that time too, but like that is the most prominent one for like the purposes of this update, the story. So I was like working at Home Depot. I started college. He and I very much, this was like going into our second year. We just got like progressively worse. Everything that we had been through like the first year, like we were not healing from, and like things just started to get progressively worse. And then I lived with his family, so like it was just like a hot fucking mess. But toward the end, I believe it was like around in the fall. The fall and the spring are always like so significant times for in these journeys, in this story, in these stories in my journey. So yeah, I believe it was around November time, and I remember because it was around his birthday, because he's a Scorpio, that I actually just kind of like randomly packed my things and like dipped on him and them, and like just kind of forced myself to go back home, because like I really needed to like get away from that situation, because it was getting really toxic. So that's, I believe I should have been 22 at that time. Yeah, I definitely had just turned 22, and he was just about to be like 20, I'm sure. Because we were 2 years apart. And then yeah, I'm guessing, yeah. So he was just turning 20 as well. I was turning 22, or I turned 22, I'm sorry, and just moved back home, and I lasted there up until like I think February. And he and I kind of got back together, and then it was very much like, okay, I don't know what happened in between like February, March, whenever we got back together. And then all I know is that like by the time June came around, he and I were in that apartment together. And I think there for another 2.5 years. So that relationship, of course, ended, and like I think I couch surfed with Brittany, and damn, I think it was around the fall again when I like ended up leaving. It was like, I feel like the day after Halloween, like literally November 1st. And like if he was here telling or hearing this story, he would like definitely highlight the fact that like something traumatic with us always happened around his birthday. Like I was just always the fucking asshole boyfriend that was like ruining his fucking birthday. But anyways, like I was couch surfing with Brittany for like I think about 2 weeks, and then I found my own place in Pilsen in a co-living situation, which was a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom unit that we all each were renting out the room itself, and then like the kitchen and living room, all that were like a shared space. And that like 2 of us were sharing a bathroom, but at that time actually it was just me and a fellow Virgo, again, birthday was August 28, living there. And he was from Cali, so like this being the fall, like he was like a CPS teacher as well, so he was just kind of like never there. And then when he very much was always in his room. And then he also like left for the holidays to like go home to visit family. So I very much felt like I was living on my own there, and it was a really, really nice apartment in Pilsen. Like I was full on a gentrifier out there. And I just did that for 6 months, and it was because like from the Hyde Park situation, that and then like moving to East Side, like after that I actually had to file for bankruptcy for what was transpiring, like everything that was like going on at that time. I filed bankruptcy at 20 years old. Like literally, which I'm now barely coming out of it, because they say it lasts on your record for 10 years, and I'm now 28, so that shit is barely falling off. But I digress. The point being, where was I about? Oh, Pilsen. Okay, so yeah, I knew it was in my best interest to sign a 6-month lease, to not like overcommit to anything, which I was like really big on. And then once the like lease was ending, I was like, yeah, I definitely would rather find my own apartment and like be on my journey of like solo living, which I did. I found an apartment in Little Village, which was right next to Pilsen. And it was a 2-bedroom, really a studio apartment, because the rooms were so fucking small. Like you could only fit, like I put my queen size bed in that room, and it took up the entire room. Like I kid you not, that's how small the room was. Like there was only room at the feet of the bed to like walk in and then like jump on the bed. But I eventually had to take the bed out, because I was like, this isn't insane. Like I'm just gonna have 2 closets, I guess, because like the room was like way too fucking small. So toward the end of that living experience, in February actually, I met my last partner, my Taurus, I'm gonna say brother, because he said that we felt like brothers a lot. Or he was like, Demetrius, it feels like you want a brother and not a fucking boyfriend. And I was like, what are you talking about? Anyways, we met like maybe like a week before Valentine's Day, and then kind of went official by like the 21st of February, I believe. And then my lease was gonna be up again in May, and this is like what, 2022. So I like pitched the idea for like us and him and his best friend, his Gemini best friend, they also, their lease was going to be at the same time as mine, and it was just kind of like, I feel like we very much had love at first sight, and we felt very like familiar and safe right off the bat with each other, although I think we both recognized red flags. And the other, he, you know, I've expressed this before, like his big three were Taurus, Gemini, Pisces, which my immediate family, my mom, my sister, my father, were Taurus, Pisces, Gemini, and I'm a Virgo. So, and then my mom being the Gemini, and Yvonne, his best friend, roommate, being the Gemini also, I was just like, I don't see how this could not work. Like we're very much like what is the word, what is that word, twin flames, I would say. We just like, our souls were very much drawn to each other. Even the way that we met was like not supposed to happen. Like we both were not supposed to be out that night, and so like it was very much fate that brought us together. And I just like, in my mind, was like, well, I've lived with others before, like I've had roommates before. I've also like lived in that like boyfriend best friend dynamic, but like I was gonna be on a different side of it this time around. So my thought process was like, yeah, like I've learned everything I needed to, and this is 26-year-old Demetrius. Like I'm fully like open to this, prepared for this. Like I have nothing but the best intentions for us. Like I want, and it very much also was like, you know, because they're both into the arts and like want to do things art related, and each three of us also had a desire to like live in California. So it was very much like, okay, we're all trying to go down the same road, like let's just like combine our brains together and be three peas in a pod, and just like evolve and grow together, literally. And that of course didn't end up happening. We moved in May, and then I believe it was the end of the year where we kind of like, you know, officially broke up, and I moved back home with my mom the day after New Year's Day, I would say. And that was New Year's Day this year. So I guess that was what, yeah, that was 2023 then, because that was last year. We met, wait, no, what the fuck? Yeah, I met him at 26, and then what is literally time? I'm not following. It doesn't matter. The point being, it had to have been last year. No, yeah, because, okay, sorry, give me 1 second. Last year was 2023. Yeah, so we met 2023. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, that's adding up. We met 2023 of last year, or February 2023 last year. And then yeah, by time New Year's Day came this year, 2024, I essentially I knew that it was our time. I also had cheated at that point, because I felt like I was being cheated on in many ways than not, and like denying and lying to myself about it. And also he was like gaslighting me a lot about things, and it was just also, it was really hard for me, because like he had a cheating wound of like, he apparently had never done it before, but like it had happened to him a lot, especially with his partner before him. Like that man was like a whore, like just straight right under his nose, doing lots of things. So he was playing on my own infidelity wound with my Scorpio relationship, because we got to a point, I think around year 2, where we just like really didn't care anymore. We kind of like started to really hate each other, but both were kind of not wanting to leave, or wanting to, just maybe not knowing how. I don't know. We just like got really toxic. And fast forward to, this has nothing to do with the residential journey, but I guess I feel the need to share. He was just like really pushing me to a dark place. The nature of the relationship, especially. And I definitely warned him before anything was gonna happen, and it very much was like one ear out the other. And I was just hurt a lot. Like there was a lot of things that were like pushing me to a dark place, and like hurting me to my core, like hurting my soul, because of how much I loved him and cared for him. So like I went to a dark place, did a dark thing, and then basically was like, well, fuck it, fuck you, fuck us, like I'm done, I'm moving home. And I also tried to get my mother's blessing before then, that like, hey, whatever the fuck I'm gonna need from you, I'm gonna need from you. And like, I'm gonna take this leap of faith that like, I'm being called to come home for a reason, and like maybe mend our relationship, because I'm sure the fact that you and I from way back when have not like healed from a lot of things and like improved our relationship, our connection. Like this is why I'm failing outside in the world. So I just kind of tried to like make the smartest decision for me and stop thinking about everyone else. And I the reason I bring that up is just because this entire year living back with my mom, it's like it comes full circle as to why I left in the first place. Like we just cannot see eye to eye. And I knew that leaving his home to come home to my mom, but I tried to like, get ahead of it and say, hey, I know what's gonna happen when I move home. Please, let's not. And it was just like with her again, one ear out the other. Like that's why the relationship with him, especially, like it was the most challenging for me, because like I feel like I was in such a good place in my solo journey, and like the person that he had, the version of Demetrius that he had was like the best motherfucking version I've ever been in my life. Like everyone else, back to like when I first moved out with Britt and my Virgo ex, like they had the worst version of Demetrius. Like it is night and day. And even then, I'm sure my Taurus ex would say that like I was the fucking devil. I'm not sure. I actually I don't think he would, but like I feel like he also would hold space for that. So it's been definitely a full circle journey, but like also a shit motherfucking show. It's been 8 years, y'all. 8 years of just bullshit. Like just 8 fucking years of like one hurricane, one crisis, one life lesson after the other. So I'm always very big on life lessons, because I'm always like being kicked or what's the saying, like I'm always being like kicked back down onto my ass. Like every time I like stand up and I'm like ready to like tackle adulting or the world or like life, whatever the fuck, and it's like I have these clear like visions of like how to move forward, like how to move into the future successfully, and it's the execution that I'm like I can only do so much. I need the people around me to also jump on this bandwagon and like help manifest this reality for all of us. And I have a hard time then, because like a lot of people don't know how to take direction, and also don't know how to collaborate, don't know how to like be a yin to my yang. Like it's like it's very hard, like to be in Demetrius's circle. It's very, very difficult. Like it's hard for me to connect to people. It's hard for me to like be present sometimes, to live in the now, because I'm so like goal oriented. I'm so like I said, didn't nobody tell me to do nothing when I graduated high school. Like I took it upon myself to be like, hey, maybe I should get a degree, maybe I should move out, maybe I should get a job, like maybe like maybe I should like change my fucking body, since I'm like I hate it and I'm always complaining about it. Like maybe I should like educate myself on ABC thing, because like this is what I'm saying I want. Like I'm just such a like go-getter, and it's like hard then to connect to others, because like boundaries are, what the fuck are boundaries? Limits, what the fuck are limits? Like there's so many things that are like, what are those things? Like I don't know those I don't know how to do those things successfully. But in terms of like figuring out colonization and like, plugging into the matrix and like adulting, and it's like those things are so concrete and like easier, I guess, to figure out. The only thing is like not being prepared for them. Like that's kind of been the biggest lesson I've learned in the 8 years since I've moved out and been on my own, whether with roommates or not. It's like you very much need to be prepared. Like, and I'm very proud of myself as to where I'm at now in my journey, and it coming full circle. I'm going to move out again, and yes, I'm going to have a roommate, but only from what, November to March, because then that roommate's going to move. Funny enough, he's a Scorpio also, but actually, yeah, I think he is a Scorpio. It doesn't matter. He's gonna move out back home to Georgia. And I do plan to like try to get the it's a townhome, and I'm gonna try to get that on my own, like, and have this townhome to myself. So and I pushed for a November 1st move-in date. Today's what, like, I don't know, beginning of October 6th, I think. But I very much push for a November 1st move-in date so that I can like have money saved and like be prepared for this transition and this move. So that I'm not like having to move back home with my mom again. Like, it's like, I'm not like gonna play into those mind games of like feeling bad about being however old and having to live with my mom. It's more so that like her and I just cannot coexist in the same roof. So like under the same roof. So I need to be as successful as I can stepping back out again. And I've known that this entire year. That's what I've been like advocating for and fighting for against all of her bullshit. That like I need to be in like a peaceful, calm, clear state of mind, and like have money saved and like have a fucking plan and that I can execute, so that like I don't have to just like be living check to check, or like be like, bare bonesing this my approach to moving out again just to get away from you again. Like, it's like, no, like I had to really like stand my ground and fight for what I needed, and so that I can be successful. And I'm really proud of myself that I've done that. I've achieved that. And just, I guess to wrap up, like the last 8 years have prepared me to now step out again and like do this essentially all over again. And like I can't see further than like a year out. Like I know fully what 2025 is going to look like for me now. But beyond that, I'm not sure. But I know for a fact that like everything these past 8 years have really prepared me to be ready to step out in this next coming month. So that's essentially it. And I definitely would love to keep, updating on the journey once I get moved in. But that's my full circle residential career journey, if you will. Moving out at 20 and now moving back out again at 28. It's been such a journey. But I would not have changed a thing, because of course, like they always say, life experiences like these make you who you are. So I'm very appreciative of that. And I thank you for listening and being a part of my TED Talk. I'll see you in the next one.